And because I haven't made a video since last year, I just want to say Happy New Year and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the AV8S. Now this thing was not on sale in the previous sales, and really, you're not really missing much. The AV8S is essentially the same thing as the AV8A, except, well, you get AIM-9Ps instead of AIM-9Gs, and these are quite the deficit. The AIM-9Gs have incredible range. They turn okay at medium to close range, but their main strength is from the range you can shoot them from, which is important because this plane is pretty slow at 9.7. Yeah, the acceleration to like 800 kilometers an hour is absolutely obscene, but that doesn't really matter because you're not fighting sabres and MiG-15s very often anymore. So now the main thing you need to kill these supersonics, if they don't have flares, is something like an AIM-9G, which is the perfect counter to a plane like the F-104A. The R-60s have a similar range while being much more maneuverable, making the AIM-9J kind of just whatever. Back in the day, the AIM-9Js used to be better because the range actually meant something. You were fighting comparable platforms, but the Harrier is incredibly slow at 9.7. Making you kind of just dead in the water. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's a terrible grinder, that you absolutely shouldn't get it, but at 9.7 with these missiles and this airframe and the fact that we now have the two Alpha jets as well in the same, well, tier, it means that you can just get a cheaper alternative that is, in my opinion, better to fly. Yeah, these are also not the best airframes, but at 8.7 the Alpha Jet A is a lot more competitive when it comes to the flight performance opposed to the AV8S. Now of course the AV8S at a 1v1 will absolutely dumpster the Alpha Jet, but keep in mind that this is a full up tier and the compression is at an all-time high. A full up tier basically feels like 3 whole tiers when it comes to props, to just to kind of put it into perspective. And then at 10.7 we have the Alpha Jet TH, which I think is like, well, it's kind of worse when it comes to the flight performance, especially relatively. It at least gets 4 AIM-9Ps and they're all aspects, so you can actually dump these in the head-ons if the enemy doesn't have flares, which means that you don't have to get as close and they don't have to be as agile. In head-ons, these missiles would be pretty good, but you know, the AV8S just doesn't have them. And overall, lastly, it's the, of course, turn rate and the speed bleed. The retention is abysmal. And the turn is also kind of abysmal. You can kind of go around it with some DEFYN where you rotate the nozzles like 45 degrees down, and it does help with the turn rate, but it kills your speed even quicker. And if they try to run away, well, guess what? You don't have to reach to really reach them with your AIM-9Ps because they just don't have any range. Overall, this plane, in my opinion, isn't worth the pickup. But if you have bought it, or if you just want to see me struggle in a Harrier, be my guest and stick around. But before that, I want to just say thank you to all my Patreons. Thank you to all my subscribers, of which we now have 150,000 just before the end of 2024. So we can check with that one off as well. And just thank you to everyone that is partaking in the community in whatever way it might be. I do have some bad news as well, however, because I just got back to work. So the frequency of videos might take a little bit of a hit here and there, but overall you shouldn't really be able to notice, other than the fact that I'm gonna sound a hell of a lot more tired in quite a bit more videos. I just got back from a 9-hour shift, so you can understand why I'm a little bit lower energy than usual. Let's take a look at this gameplay here. I'm kind of dropping in and I'm just going to be slinging off my missiles. That's my main thing here. I'm going to shoot off 2 missiles on people that I know are 100% going to die, preferably on high value targets, something like this MiG-19. Now the Sea Vixen just kind of was there and he caught some back shots. It wasn't really planned, he just kind of happened to be there. I knew that he was going to take it, so he just kind of rolled over and let it happen. Then we leave the area with 2 kills. Now make sure to not turn too much so you can actually turn all of your energy into altitude. Now when you start turning while doing this, you can tell that the energy drops off almost instantly. A plane like this is great when it comes to climbing in straight lines. The second you put any kind of maneuver in it, you're probably going to suffer. Now we have a little bit of an energy advantage. We can dive in, we can go in a straight line again, and we can drop on the CL-13. Now, is he gonna see us? It doesn't really matter because at this time, well, we're going fast enough, we can simply break off and we have a bit of an energy advantage. And because this thing bleeds so much speed, when people reverse their turns, there's a very big likelihood they turn right back into your guns. The CL-13B here loses his wingtip and slams his tip directly into the ground. some people are into that stuff, I guess. After killing him, we simply disengage, and at this point I thought I'm just gonna start ground pounding a little bit, because we are of course covering a premium, and a lot of you guys are gonna be using this to just get cheap RP. And what is a better way to get cheap RP? Well, turn on your CCRP gun computer and just strafe some ground units, and at that it is of course pretty damn good. Now it's not of course all going to be about ground pounding, because this SU-7 is zooming in, he doesn't turn in quick enough, and we solve his wing with only a hit basically. It's aircraft destroyed, and now we can actually still kill some ground units because the tickets haven't dropped yet. So I turn in for the howitzers. I know this is kind of boring, but I just want to show you a more grind focused game in this, because that is the only reason why you should buy the Harrier. So we get 4 kills, we get a whole ass 2 ground units, and that is all we need. And then of course we go into the loading screen, we look at this absolutely amazing reward. 100k, 12,000 resource points, almost 13,000. Keep in mind, I'm not researching anything because I have the entire Japanese tech tree unlocked. But that is a good measurement, I guess, for the amount of flying that we did. Pretty short game. We basically dropped in, got 4 kills, and we're out. You saw that it was a very short game. And the rewards aren't bad, but I don't think they are anything special, especially considering you don't get 4 kills that often. Most of the time you get 1 or 2. 2 is pretty damn frequent, because the AIM-9Js, despite lacking, are still pretty free kills and are extremely reliable. Now when you get slightly down tier, this thing does become pretty damn powerful, but it's mostly because you are going to be fighting the jets that I mentioned earlier. It's stuff like the Limb 5. At that kind of range, the missile is maneuverable enough. Try to not shoot these things from too short of a range, because the missiles aren't that maneuverable off the rails. They are not R60s, despite having similar range. These things are better when it comes to longer range shots. So we shoot off on the G91 as well, we get our second kill, and then we just start cleaning house with the guns. Now unfortunately the guns are not the main selling point of this plane. The Aidens are okay, they do decent damage, but the velocity is kind of lacking, the accuracy isn't really there, and then of course also the plane it's on is kind of awkward to aim. It's kind of floaty, it rolls off center, and I mean it doesn't just really turn that well. So if you get a shot, prepare to dump 200 kilometers an hour for a shot you might actually not hit. Now at that kind of speed, of course the G91 gets sawed in half. It says pilot unconscious, but he got turned into red mist. We then leave the area, we kind of try to keep it in a straight line as much as possible. The second you start turning and you get jumped in this thing, your game is probably over. Try to keep looking around. There's a MiG-19 in front, that is a high priority target, but I'm never going to be catching him, and I don't have missiles anyway. So we just kind of turn around and re-engage the furball over here. And if you're wondering why I'm running on 91% throttle, it's because this is Spain, and above 93% I think this thing starts overheating, and once you start overheating in this thing, it is very hard to cool it down again without, well, sacrificing a lot of throttle. So I just kind of keep it on 91%, 92% throughout the entire game, and if I need it I will go to 100 or sometimes even to the web. We get kill number 5 and then we re-engage the furball, but there is a MiG-19 around as well as a second MiG-19 and the Hunter. Now the Hunter is kind of similar in a way to our flight performance, however the Hunter is a much better frag mobile in my opinion, but when you turn into my guns like this, we should get a pretty easy kill. Unfortunately, we aren't able to aim today. We turn around, we use a little bit of VIFing to speed up the turnaround just that little bit quicker, and then the MiG-19 comes in and flies directly into the ground. Perspective is a bitch, I'm looking at a very small screen right now. We are running down the Hunter, we try to turn around as quick as possible, and at those kind of speeds, turning around quicker, sacrificing a little bit of retention, doesn't really matter, because with the retention that you have, you might lose a lot, but the acceleration is still there and you will get it back extremely quickly. And now for the last bit of this fight, it's gonna be the MiG-19 only. And you might notice how long this video is at this point. It's gonna take a bit, and I just want to show you how asinine it is to fly this thing against something like a MiG-19. Even if he's not that experienced, this is not some ace combat tier flyer. He's not bad, he's definitely doing the right thing. And that's all he needs to do, he just needs to stick to his flowchart. And if he does that, I have no way of killing him, even if I do have a missile. So we try to chase him here, we try to cut him off, but he's just gonna turn gradually. And because of that, he's gonna keep much more speed than us, even though he isn't afterburning through half of it. Now I can turn, of course, go much wider, but that doesn't really gain anything to me, because if I go wider to preserve energy, he is still gonna turn better while maintaining the same amount. So trying to maintain my energy against a plane that's faster doesn't really work when the retention is this abysmal. Now here he tries to run away, which is the right thing to do. We are in a decent position to capitalize on the mistake of his, but he just kind of keeps it wide. He keeps it very shallow, not too steep, not too hard on the stick, and he just kind of tries to drain me of energy, and I'm forced to chase him, because if I give him my 6, I am dead. So I'm forced to kind of pressure him, sit on the 6, and hope he makes a mistake that I can capitalize on, hope that he panics, hope that he turns into the wrong direction, hope that he reverses his turn. He doesn't do either of these things, or any of these things, and he simply just kind of keeps me at arm's length while he just keeps turning into the rest of my team. I am forced to sit behind him, otherwise I end up like that A4E. Now here it looks like he's going to turn in, he's going to fly towards his airfield, and that's exactly what he's doing, and I'm going to get to about 400 to 300 meters, but it doesn't matter, it's a pretty decently hard shot. I don't have that much ammo, and if I had a missile here, he'd 100% be dead, but I don't. So unfortunately, I'm forced to chase him again. Now with an AIM-9G, you can do this till about 2.5 kilometers, and he's probably dead. With an AIM-9J, past like 1.3, there's a very big likelihood he will simply run it out of energy. But it doesn't matter, because right now I don't have one regardless. Mr. Falwin comes in with his Q5, and I think at this point it's a 2v1. He doesn't even want to take the head-on, but I just feel like going for the Q5 for a little bit, just to bait the MiG-19 to turn around, and it looks like he does think about it, but then he sees the F-104 directly next to me, and he kind of just goes into passive mode again. I keep the pressure on so that the F-104 can kind of disengage for a little bit and then come back at an off angle, but the F-104 decides to just kind of start climbing in a straight line away from the fight and never re-engage the MiG-19 at all. So I'm just kind of baiting this guy for no one as the F-104 fucks off to Narnia. Now here I kind of have to dodge the shot. I'm trying to keep this guy slow, and you can tell that I'm thinking like, where the hell is this guy, because I'm looking at the radar. Where is my F-104? There he is flying away from the guy that is going slow. And then we go back to rearm and refuel, because we were almost out, and we start engaging the MiG-19 and the Q5 again with our F-104 that is now full of fuel. So there is no excuses, full ammo, full missile load, full fuel. No excuses. We engage the MiG-19 as he's busy with the F-104, and if the F-104 played this a little bit more aggressive, we probably would have been able to kill him. Except he is just going to run away to Narnia again and leaves us all alone, as he is going to fly like 20 kilometers away before he finally decides to turn around. And now my opportunistic kill turns into my biggest nightmare, because I'm now stuck in a 1v1 with a MiG-19. I should have killed him there, but I didn't, because I'm rusty as shit, and now we are stuck in this turn fight. And I know he's gonna be passive, I know he roughly knows what to do, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up quickly by getting all of the position early on and just try to missile him. Now the issue comes from right here. I cannot maintain my energy to actually turn around quick enough. So here I'm gonna turn in. If he tries to disengage, my missile actually doesn't have the range anymore, and he comes in for the head-on. Now we get another angle, but we just don't have the pull to kill him, and the F-104 is like 15 kilometers away. Q5 shows up, kinda get lucky, we dodge the rounds, we have to go vertical, but we can't. We turn on the web, and we're gonna dive out of this fight, because this is not sustainable. The F-104 is finally coming in, but he could have killed 1 or 2 guys, but he's just too far away, he's way too passive. You need to put the pressure on, especially in this kind of matchup, where you have the power to do so. Yeah, the F-104 flight model isn't that great anymore, but I'm still keeping these guys slow, and you flying all the way off to another map isn't really helping anyone. We have to turn in again, because they're both catching us, since the Harrier is just kind of too slow, and the MiG-19 is staggering his turn, making it so that I can't keep turning, and I'm forced to kind of try to run away. The issue is that I can't run away from a MiG-19. He shoots a second missile, which is good for us, and the Q5 breaks off. So now we're going to try to full send it for the MiG-19, and we try to reverse him, because our reversal is slightly better than his, because I just lose more speed, and the roll rate is pretty damn good. But the MiG-19 is just going to keep turning. I don't have an ability to even lock onto him with a missile. Very simply, because I don't turn well enough and I don't have the separation. This thing is also way too slow. Now here we're gonna try and Hail Mary shot. It's probably not gonna hit, but I'm still gonna try. So I'm gonna pre-turn towards the guy that is flying in right now. It's the F3H, in the hope that he goes head on, and he does so. So what do? We lock onto the MiG-19, and if this was an AIM-9G, it probably would have killed him. Unfortunately, it does not, because it just runs out of energy to the point where it just kind of falls short. Very narrow miss, but now I'm going 400 and we're gonna use the Giga acceleration to go back to speed. Now the F3H is locked in with the MiG-19 and that is good for us. The F3H is 100% losing that, but we are working together a little bit, unlike the F104. I'm forcing the MiG-19 to chase me because he kind of needs to. If he turns around and the F3H doesn't kill him, I do. And if he keeps chasing me when I turn in front of the F3H, he dies to the F3H. And that's exactly what happens. He gets a little bit indecisive, and with a little bit of teamwork, he gets sent back to the hangar. Decal in the description. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.